welcome or welcome back. I'm super excited to welcome you to Boss Up with Tiffany Bethia, yours truly. This is the place where we discuss all things about living a God-surrendered life and running a God-surrendered business or ministry. And look, if this is your first time here, in addition to the welcome, I want to invite you to subscribe. That's right. Come on and join the tribe, join the family, and make sure that you stay updated first about new episodes. So I'm excited about today's topic because I get asked about this all the time. And I really want to talk about balancing motherhood and business. Now, let me say this. Really, we could say balancing parenthood because, fellas, this is not going to be gender specific. But really, for the person who is raising children and growing a business at the same time, how in the world can you juggle it all? So I'm excited to talk about this topic. So first, let me introduce, right? I am the mother of an 8-year-old son. I can't believe it. He just turned 8, y'all. So just bear with me because every time I say it, I'm still like, he's 8. Because I swear to goodness, I feel like I just had him. Like, do y'all feel like that about y'all kids? Like, I told my mom all the time, I understand her more and more every day about how fast I grew up because I'm looking at my child who is now kind of like inching up to me a little bit, and I'm just like, well, I just had you, no. So it's interesting. But anyway, I am the mom of a beautiful 8-year-old Prince Jordan. And when I started working for myself full time, he was 2 years old. He literally just turned 2, or January 1st, 2012 was my first day working for myself full time, and his birthday is January 20th. So he was 2. And you know what, guys, to be honest, like I'm gonna give you my truth today, okay? I am letting you guys behind the curtain. That's what we do here, okay? Because the truth of the matter is, guys, it's been a real journey. And in the beginning, like, I sucked. It was so difficult for me to balance. It really, really took some time. So I'm going to give you some of the pitfalls first, and then really give you some of the nuggets and things I've learned that have helped me to really create that work-life harmony and that work-life balance that I've been able to successfully find now. So in the beginning, guys, like I said, it was a real struggle. He was 2 years old. And for those of you who have kids, you know, at that age, they're still kind of, their immune system is building up. So they're picking up germs from daycare. Daycare is a germy place, isn't it, y'all? Like, I'm sorry, I'm a germaphobe. You will learn that about me. Daycare is like the germiest little place. They're just in there with their noses running and they're coughing. It just, sorry, I just relived daycare years. Okay, but anyway. So, you know, there would be plenty of days where I'd have work planned out for the day, and then I'd get that phone call at like 10 o'clock, and you kind of come get them, and like, oh, this throws off my whole day. And then, like, I actually had a radio show, a blog talk radio show during that first year. It was one of the things I was trying to do to grow visibility. But the challenge was, like, when do I record? Because sometimes I would put him in the bed and he'd pop up, you know, crying, or something was going on with him, and it would always be right when I was recording. And so it got to the place where I would schedule a show, but I would be I'd be anxious, on pins and needles, not ready to minister, not ready to pour out, because I was so nervous. Like, is he gonna wake up? And it was just, you know, it was really difficult for me trying to find a way to balance. I was usually overwhelmed and just tired, needed a break because I just hadn't found a rhythm yet. And I know from talking to many of you, you can relate. You have felt that way with, you know, trying to balance your family. I mean, I only have one child, but I know, you know, if I had even more, oh Lord, you know, what in the world? So, and then also having this business, and of course, because it was full time, this wasn't some hobby thing. Like, this was like, I got security bag. I got these coins because he likes to eat, you know. And you guys know, you know, starting a new business, it takes time to get into profit and strong revenue. So all of that's going on. And it was just a real challenge. And I think probably maybe 2 years in is when I got serious about, you know what, there has to be another way. I think even that year, at the first year, I knew I had to do something different. But when I saw the drastic change was like year 2, which I was just like, there's no way we're gonna continue going like this. I'm mom. I have to really figure something out. And so at this point, I guess he's like 4. And so here are some of the things that have really helped me. Number 1 is really establishing clear boundaries. It was so hard for me to do that because I felt like if I wasn't always available, I was going to miss some coin or just something. I hadn't fully surrendered the business to God and really said, you know, this is yours. And because you asked me to do this, you are going to make sure that it sustains and is profitable. Let me give it back to you. And so I had all the pressure just on me to like make this thing work. And so no boundaries, 24/7. I'm available. I'm here. I'm there. I'm pulling. There's no self-care. I'm just worn out. And so some of it I realized wasn't even coming from parenthood. I'm just worn out, you know? So establishing clear boundaries about what is okay and what is not okay. It no longer became, I just want to run a business, but I want to run a Christ-centered business. I want to be a kingdom boss, which means I've got to have a balance. I've got to do this in good health. Like the word tells me that, you know what, you want my health and my soul to prosper. And so I had to get serious about saying, Tiffany, don't just run a business God's way. And that was a really difficult mental shift, but I'm going to tell you the truth. That year, my income tripled, literally tripled, because number 1, I surrendered and gave it to him, and I put those boundaries in place, and it made a world of difference. And that kind of segues over because one of the boundaries was, so the second thing is establishing set office hours. Instead of just kind of, when you work from home sometimes, or you work for yourself, period, it can just be a bleed over. It's like, you know, if you have a job, you know, you may go in from 9 to 5, 8 to 4, 7 to 3, whatever. But when it's your business, you can work it whenever. A lot of times you do end up working it whenever and all the time. And it's really hard. You can be in the car and you get an email, or you're, you know, doing whatever. And so one of the things that was really helpful for me was establishing office hours and communicating that with clients. That between these hours I'm available, and between these hours I am mom, and unless it's an emergency, because believe it or not, there are actual marketing emergencies. Sometimes, you know, like a social media thing happens, or somebody's website is a hosting crash or whatever. Every now and again, believe it or not, I didn't realize when I went into marketing that, you know, kind of like a doctor, I'd be on call sometimes. It happens. But my clients know that other than the actual emergency, between, you know, typically for me, it's between 2 to 7. Now, sometimes, so I co-parent with my son's dad. And so there are days, Monday and Tuesday particularly, where I don't have him. So I'll take meetings or calls on, you know, a Tuesday evening at 5 or 6 because I don't have him. But, you know, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, that's Jordan's time. That is his time. Mommy is not working, and I do not schedule calls, meetings, and I am not available during those times. And the peace that has created for me and him has been just amazing. It has really, really, really just been amazing. So, something as simple as office hours. When do I go and when do I clock in? And this is why that's been powerful for me. This is one of the things that started to let me know I had to do something different. I remember one day, so my son was like 2, 3, and I'm cooking dinner. So I'm over the stove, I'm cooking dinner. He's playing, but he's right there, not far from me. You know, he was safe. And I'm on a conference call. So I'm doing this, I'm cooking, he's here. And I just look up and I'm like, you know what? I'm not 100% present to anything. Like the food, I'm like trying to get the food together. I'm like mostly listening, but not 100% present, and not fully present with him either. And I said, you know what? None of these activities is getting all of me. And so I started to realize the power of being present. That, like, multitasking used to be one of the things that I actually bragged about till I learned, oh, this is going to touch somebody. Till I learned that multitasking actually has been shown to decrease productivity. Ooh, that got somebody, because that got me. I was like, what? I'm not doing more by doing more? No, by taking one task and focusing on it, I actually started to get more done. And that was how I tripled my income that year, because it was like, how can I be fully present to whatever I'm doing now and then move on to the next task and be fully present when I do that? And so, like I said, something as simple as office hours meant, okay, you know what, go hard from this time to this time. I mean, give it everything, get the work done, and then come up for air and then go play with your son. And we would go out to the park, I cooked dinner, we'd go for a walk, just whatever it was. And the peace that provided me was and still is. I still live by that to this day. My clients know the times that I'm available, the times I'm not available, and he knows what time is his. We have Fridays, our little mommy son date night. Sometimes we do Saturdays, depending on, like, if I have a speaking engagement, but I always make sure to communicate with him, hey baby, look, mommy may have something to do on this day, so can we do our mommy son date on this day? And he'll say yeah, and I say, well, what would you like to do? And we really negotiate and we talk about that, so he knows when his time is, and he understands that he's a priority for mommy. And I promise you, that is so important. I can relate to that even from the child's perspective, because my mother, who's in her purpose, and was a businesswoman when I was younger, has always been busy, but I always knew I was a priority because I always had set time where the world couldn't get to mommy. It was just about me, me and my brother, because I have a sibling, unlike my baby. He doesn't have to share me, but I had to share. So, so for those of you who are really looking to establish much more work-life balance, look, motherhood, I get it. My son was 2, which meant he wasn't still potty trained. I was still changing diapers at 2, which is really not the same grace at 2 months, right? So I get it. I totally get it. But it really starts here first. It starts with the mindset shift about how valuable your time is. It starts with the heart shift in regard to what's the important thing, what's the main thing, and really understanding that this is God's business, and if he called me to it, he's going to take care of it. I don't have to be working this thing 24/7 and driving myself crazy in the ground. I can do it God's way, which means take care of my family first, then take care of the business, and know that it will still sustain, because it's his thing. This church, this business, this nonprofit, this is God's thing. And if I do it his way, I'll be able to find peace and harmony in my entire life. So I just hope that that's encouraging for some of you. I know that for some of you watching this, your business may be causing strain on your marriage, causing strain on your relationship with your children. And I pray that that as you establish those boundaries and really create some set hours and all of those types of things, that the peace will be restored, and so that that you can do both, because you absolutely can have the family, the marriage, the children, and the business that God has called for you to have. But it really does require seeking him for the proper boundaries and guidelines so that everything gets what it needs. All right, so I hope that this has been helpful for you. Shout out and kudos to all of you who are doing that, balancing motherhood, fatherhood, and business. And until I see you guys next time, don't forget subscribe so that you can stay updated on all of our episodes and conversations. And of course, don't forget that success is not just in doing, but it's also in being. Bye guys.